The mind isn't engaging with the body to then make forces. It's engaging with forces, and that's what changes the motion and shape of the body. Hi, I'm Grant Kleiman from Darsana Martial Arts. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to support us or join our online academy, there are links in the description. All right, let's get to the lesson. I want to differentiate the concept of structure from the concept of alignment. Structure, the way that I'm speaking about it, has to do with how we arrange the parts of our body, specifically our skeletal structure. If I'm in a neutral posture, then my structure isn't that great. So if you get into a superior structure, right, maybe like a forward stance, and we have some kind of push competition, I just don't have the structure to support me. So I would put a leg behind and bring my elbows sort of inward and downward within the frame of my body. And if I'm in a more of a bow stance and my arms are maybe slightly more extended, you can push really hard. And just with my structure, I'm able to hold you. But to me, that's a different thing than alignment. When I'm trying to align, I'm trying to create a pathway for a line of force to move unobstructed and without deviation through the body. If I'm in this neutral position and I don't have structure, and let's say you get into a more structured stance and you push.
That felt different because the first time when I pushed, I felt everything kind of be locked for that to happen. And then when you were doing the conduit part, one, you felt changeable, but it also felt down and not back.
Right, because it's not that I'm creating a physical frame to brace against that, but rather I'm creating an inner pathway for force to move through. And it's not to say that structure isn't something that we want, but if we focus on structure, we may never get beyond that into this sort of idea of feeling the alignment of internal pathways that then gives you this sort of access to what's sometimes referred to as hidden force or mysterious force, where it doesn't seem to make sense to the eye why that stability is there or that power is there. And you understand force through feeling, through ting, through listening. And the way you do that is when we song, we open the body, we create inner pathways for force. There's like a little bit of give to it. It's by having that give that we actually are able to maintain those lines of force, because now the force can travel through. It doesn't catch anywhere. When we're trying to have structure, it's because we want to be stable. The goal of stability breeds rigidity, and rigidity breeds vulnerability to being unbalanced. So if I'm trying to be stable, my tendency is to be rigid. If something happens and it destabilizes me, I have to regain, right? So I'm always trying to get back to that position so that I can maintain my structured shape that is able to contend with force in the way that I've understood it. And a lot of people treat that as alignment. To me, structure is trying to catch the force within the frame, a frame that can hold it. Alignment is trying to pass the force through. So balance, as in forces in the body are neutralizing, only happens when the different parts of the body are able to change and interact with each other to continue to return that balance with whatever new forces are coming in. This is why you can be in a much less structured stance like this. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. I won't move you, I'll just kind of deal with it. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, so there's give, right? There's some movement. Keep going. And then if I take that force and I give it back to you through that, it's not coming from the structure. Now, it's not to say that there isn't a relationship between the force and the body, but here's how I like to put it. What we're doing is the mind, through attention, ting, and intention, yi, is engaging with force. And the body is the medium through which it does that. But the mind isn't engaging with the body to then make forces. It's engaging with forces, and that's what changes the motion and shape of the body, depending on what's going on. And there's basically two things that we're always doing. There's our goal of returning to Wuji, the vector equilibrium of the body, the way that all forces find balance, what some people I think would probably call zhongding, depending on what tradition you're from. And then there's either whatever our intention is, whatever motion or force we want to do. We can call that the yang side of what's happening, and the yin side would be the way that our body internally adjusts to return to Wuji. Or there's whatever the other person is doing, or a mixture of both. You want to say something?
I found it interesting because after your explanation of structure trying to like catch force versus alignment that lets force pass through, when I felt you give something to me, I heard my brain recognized and went, I don't want that. And I felt.
You say give something to you like force?
Like force. I felt you, when you were like, okay, so then if I give you force, and like as I felt it coming through, I felt myself saying, I don't like this, I want to stop it. And then after.
Like resist it.
Resist it, yeah.
Structure.
Exactly. And so it was like, it was coming through, and I was like, I don't like it, I don't like it. And it got to my knees and to my feet, and then it was like that. And I was like, wait. You just literally explained if I don't do that and I just allow it to pass through, that won't, it'll be a different result. And I was just like, okay, yeah, all right.
That's huge on a psychological level too. Yes. Psychologically, when we're confronted with something that we currently don't want, then our natural knee-jerk reaction is usually one of two things, right? Monkey on Rose, door number one or door number two. We either want to brace against it, deny it, stop it, or we want to escape it and run away. His door number three is always the way we return to Wuji. And one of the first ways that we return to Wuji is we have to learn to accept that that thing is there. It doesn't mean we just let it run us over, but rather the opposite. We let it pass through us. Let the wheels turn on that for a while.
Oh yeah, they were, while you were talking, I was just like, wait a minute, especially because my upper body is more mobile and my legs try to be stable. It passed through, but I didn't want it. I resisted it. That's why it got into my knees and my feet. It had nowhere else to go because I literally felt myself holding it in. Because I didn't
stopping it
in me, and it generated the force that moved me.
Because that's where it gets caught. Yeah. It's literally that dams the force. My force contacts contained or clotted force in your legs, and then that becomes a solid thing that's then mobilized by the force. So actually, if you're relying upon structure in this manner, the reason why we seek it is because we're just trying to get into a better position to be able to stop the thing we don't want. We're not learning to let it pass through the body. When you do that, you're always going to be less changeable. But if you think about alignment in the way that I'm talking about it, alignment as currents of force that pass through the body, and all you have to do is keep these channels open and make sure that no tension squeezes them and stops that passage of motion. If you can do that, then you can let the whole body move around those lines very flexibly. Then when somebody goes to give you force, it waves through you. So if we're moving like this, there'll be usually places where you will think structure and everything will kind of stop to kind of hold something. It is in those moments, that's better. It is in those moments like that, there you go, you dissolved it, right? You dissolved it good. But that's the temptation. There'll be moments where you'll find, right? There'll be something and there it is, right? You let it go more. You let it go more. That was good. Right. So these are the places where we'll tend to get caught. Now, I might be searching for you. A lot of times, it's funny, when we grab them with tension, it's when we feel ourselves get caught. That's that moment. Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But yes, exactly. The reaction must start to become, I feel it, right? Now you're connected. Now I feel you getting on top of that force. If you sink the shoulder, and the elbow, you have an on force there. Yeah.
And it started off with me having like locked, and I was just like, and then
you have to dissolve it.
Have to let it out, and everything changed with it.
Right. Anything that doesn't change with it is going to hold it back. It's going to be the place where that makes everything not work, whether it's your force coming to me or my force coming through you. That's the thing that then doesn't permit the transference of force. Let's just say, I don't know, you have some tension in your there you go, in your shoulders. Now, when you go to push me, it's not me pushing you. I just open and let that get to the ground. It's literally your force hitting the ground, and then it's not so much that you're pushing off the ground. In a manner of speaking, but the reason you're pushed off the ground is because that force coming back to you gets stuck there.
Yeah.
If you open that and sink, and now you start to push me, even if I open, now all you have to do is just now let it come down out of the shoulders. Yeah. Yeah, and out of the wrist. So right now, the structure you have is in your hands. That's much better. That's much better. Now just keep letting it sink out of the shoulders and chest, right? And whatever I do, let it keep moving through you. So right now, right in the mid-back, that's it, that's it, that's it. Yeah, you feel that? Now when I do that, you can return it. Do you feel that? Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't as scary when we started. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yes, right.
And then it was like, wait, okay.
Oh no, I'm gonna be moved, he's gonna push me.
Yeah.
And then you do the absolute wrong thing to stop that from happening, but that's our instinct. From the time we're like toddlers and we're learning to pull ourselves up on the edge of the coffee table to stabilize ourselves against that and the ground, we're learning how to deal with the world in terms of resistance. Where do I end and everything else begin? How do I move myself by pushing off of things? And then we grip and we hold ourselves to be stable. We need to move beyond that stage at some point, right? At least in this art, and definitely for all of the benefits that we want from Tai Chi. If you're relying on structure, it probably means you're not letting forces go through the body. Now, we still need alignment. The relationship to structure is that however we have the body arranged, it needs to be in a way that allows force to travel through it. But even if it's like not good, so the arm is out to my side, I'm getting no benefit from the structure of my stance. My arm is even a little turned back. I might have to open it up a little bit like this, right? So this is not a powerful position in relation to your structure, and I'm going to try to move you that way, all right? If I try to do that with leverage, what would rely upon having structure of some kind to be able to leverage, then I'm definitely going to lose my position. If I can open the shoulder, open the body, that didn't have structure behind it. Mm-hmm. You had structure, but I had alignment because there was a connection throughout my whole body for the forces, and my whole body was able to move to generate that power. When you're rigid, if I understand how to put a little force into your body, it's like I can grab the whole body.
I feel it.
and move you, right? If I just press or lift up, you're not grabbed.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing up, I can get structure, like get my structure under you. The best way I can just describe it is I make contact with the rigidity in your body. In a manner of speaking, I grab the whole body with that force and then move it. Problem is, if I'm relying on structure and leverage, and I'm thinking about that structure as like a purely physical form thing, then I'm probably just trying to push your structure and move your structure and overcome your structure.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking about the force in your body, open up and actually relax my body, then it can come through me and into you.
Yeah, with the just pushing on me, and like I could feel our forces met, and then I can move.
You can move. You're free inside.
I can move.
That's it too, because
And
I'm
so then
on
like,
you.
Oh, I'm gonna adjust because if I'm gonna get overcome, I can move. But
Right.
the force one,
When I go like this,
can't move.
I'm condensing all the force inside. Like my force is doing this to the force inside of you. It's like turns it into a nugget.
Yeah.
It's like force nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
If I try to push out, it's more
Oh
consolidated.
yeah,
And if
because
I
you're
try
pushing
to-
out away from it, so it's like you're anchoring onto that force.
And if I try to like sink in, it collapses more.
Yeah.
And I have less space.
Because it's going, exactly.
It's crazy.
It's going inside.
Versus the other one that I'm like, okay, we're both moving, and it's whoever can like out move and push the other person.
It's different. Again, it's one of those things that until you feel it, it doesn't really make sense. To me, this is the difference between using alignment and structure. Let's take another one. Like if you have me, let's say you have me, in a kind of like a sort of an arm bar like position. And your force is going to be pushing down like this, and I'm fairly compromised. If I'm trying to use structure like as the way that I'm going to deal with this, I'm going to try to lower my center of gravity a little bit, try to make sure my spine is straight, try to get a good stance. I'm going to try to do something, maybe engage the muscles of my arm. I might even use my other hand to stabilize my shoulder a little bit and try to then see if I can somehow get my structure and leverage or escape it, but it's going to be tiring and difficult. But if instead I open, now I have alignment because I've opened up, now force can travel through me. Push my arm down. Yeah. It doesn't even feel threatening to me once I open up.
and I lost you. So the first one where you were like rigid and trying to do force,
Yeah.
I'm like, I could follow.
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I
yeah.
could do this.
Exactly.
I had so much control.
Exactly.
And as soon as you let go, I was like,
Yeah, so
what the heck?
I do this, and now, go ahead.
I'm trying
Go
to
ahead,
figure
try.
out how to, I am.
Okay. And I'm not making adjustments. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going, oh, she's doing this, let me move my shoulder. Because actually, that helps you. Right. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm feeling the alignment of force through the body. I'm opening my joints and relaxing. Alignment is about force moving through the body. The body is a medium in the same way that paint is a medium. The mind has an intention, and it moves through the paint as long as the paint is smooth. In painting, there's something called mediums, which are made to sort of lubricate the paint. It makes the paint a little bit more workable. Well, that's song. The intention is the mark you're making with the paint. Now, the other person has an intention too, so on the receiving end, I don't know, let's call that inspiration. I'm listening, go ahead, and I'm feeling I can move, or I can move you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It just depends on what I'm doing with force. It's not that I get into the structure and then I use this and I push this at you.
Yeah.
Or I hold this. Yeah, you can, exactly, exactly. But if I open up, now I have alignment, go ahead. And if that paradigm shift in understanding should change the way you practice your forms.
One little tidbit, especially at that last piece with your elbow, because I held the force when it came, it literally whipped my feet out because I was holding it here. I was bracing in my spine to like stop it.
You bring up a good point I don't think a lot of people talk about when they do any kind of demonstrations of force. It's what happens to the other person. To some degree, it depends on what's going on with them. So where are you holding force? What was your force doing at the moment when you received my force? You can do what I did where you condense force inside of them, that kind of locks them up. But I think that's important for people to understand. Last thing is like when you're doing your form, yes, we want structure, but I want you to understand that the shape of the body and the movement are about the passage of force through the body. So it's not that I want to feel my leg is moving my center and my center is moving my shoulder and my shoulder is moving my hand. I just want to feel an unbroken movement of force from the foot, swirling and stretching through the tissues and around the joints and changing through the body. So a lot of times if you're doing these kind of like bigger dramatic stances, it's possible that you're not focusing on alignment, you're focusing on structure in the way that we're talking about it tonight. Right? Obviously there's a degree of semantics to this, but yeah, that's an important piece of the puzzle too.
It's great.